is what will be the ramifications on the global economy, especially in the developing countries like Ghana. We're going to talk to Kojo Jan and Kojo Kusi Frimpong. They are financial analysts based in the UK to think through what will be the impact on our part of the world. But we have Joseph Youngson, a Ghanaian based in Ukraine, who just came out of a bunker to share his experience with us. But before we do that, let's speak the business language, and then we'll go to the Ghana Stock Exchange to talk to Esther Edu about how the equity market is faring at the close of session of trading today. Hello, welcome back. Esther, you're welcome. Walk us through the markets today.
Hello, Edward. Well, it turns out the year-to-date change is going higher in the negatives. It's now risen to negative 3.40%, which is obviously going to affect investors on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And the composite index has also gone down by 1.61 points. The financial stocks also went down by 2.93 points. In terms of trading for today, volume, I think this is the second highest we've had for the week, and it's at 862,593, and they were valued at 251,322 Ghana cedis. This is the lowest we've had for the week so far. The market capitalization has gone down from 63 billion to 62 billion, and that is also not such a good news. And in terms of equities that registered price changes for today, Cal Bank, it lost 0.03 pesos, and also there was a gainer, Standard Chartered Bank, which gained a peso. So in terms of trading today, we had one loser and one gainer, which was Cal Bank, and Standard Chartered Bank gained a peso. In terms of volume, let's look at Access Bank, just traded just 9 shares. We have Cal Bank at 193,225, EGH at 449. We have EGL, didn't sell anything, ETI 300, Fan Milk 200, Goil 400, MAC 2,866, MTN Ghana 27,500, PBC nothing, and Standard Chartered Bank, I think, sold the highest for today, 637,410. So that's sums up trading for today.
All right, thank you very much, Esther Edu, for the update from the Ghana Stock Exchange. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Joseph Youngson, a Ghanaian schooling in Ukraine, to share his experience with us after his return from the bunker to his hostel.
Asamba na abebuyaba. Proverbs have lived with us since Adam. Every occasion has its suitable proverb.
Proverbs are like salts that we use to season the language.
When somebody is able to speak and able to situate whatever he says in a proverb, it enriches the person's conversation.
Watch Spoken Jewels, a documentary showing soon on GBC News Channel and GTV.
Hello, welcome back. We have Joseph Youngson, a Ghanaian based in Ukraine, to share his experience after the shelling by Russian forces in some part of Ukraine. Joseph, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Great. You were sharing with me that you just returned from your bunker. Just tell us from the beginning of the day till when you returned to your hostel, some of the experience you had had.
Okay. Good evening to all Ghanaians. I wish I was home right now. But then, at dawn today, about 5 a.m., we heard loud noise on our doors asking us to evacuate the hostel. And so we have a lot of international community here. We have Indians, Chinese, Turkish, like a whole lot of nationals in this hostel. We were asked to evacuate at that time. And the weather here in Ukraine is very severe. We live in about 2 degrees Celsius as of now. So we were asked to go to the bomb shelter. We were all confused about what's happening. Then in about 2 hours, we were asked to come out of the bomb shelter again. And we were asked to feel free, nothing is going to happen because everything is safe in our city, Sumi. Because we knew well that the other cities in the capital were facing a lot of problems, but then we were assured that nothing is going to happen in our city. And for around midday, everything seemed normal, just that there were panic withdrawals of money, panic shopping and all. Even myself, I went to get some groceries, and then the whole shelves were empty. You go to withdraw money from the ATM machine, and you see a huge line, a huge people queuing to just withdraw money. And so I just bought a few stuff that I wouldn't buy on a normal day, but because of pressure, I had to settle for those stuff. And then immediately I go back to the hostel. I was just trying to live my life normally until about 4 p.m. Ukrainian time. We heard loud noise coming not so far away from us. And then in my university, just 100 meters away from my university, there's a military base. And we are being told that the Russians are targeting all these military bases. So we were expecting something, but we were told that it won't happen. So we heard all this noise, and then the alarm went off in our hostel for us to evacuate again. So we were all sent back into the bomb shelter. We spent well over 3 hours there. We just returned, and then we've been told to prepare some meal, and then we should be on high alert. Nobody is going to take any nap or go deep into sleep. We are supposed to be on high alert because they might be calling us to return back into the bomb shelter at any time soon. Yeah, so that's been my experience today.
So how many Ghanaians are there now at the moment with you in the hostel?
Well, in my hostel in particular, I have 4 Ghanaians here.
I hope you're all safe.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. God willing, tomorrow I'll call you again to talk to us, give us an update about what is happening in Ukraine. So we've been talking to Joseph Youngson, a Ghanaian based in Ukraine, who is schooling there, sharing his experience with us. We'll be joined very soon with Kojo Jan and then Kojo Kwesi Frimpong from the UK, they are financial analysts, to also talk to us about the implications of these actions taken by Russia on the global economy. And we zero in on our part of the world. I'm talking about Ghana and Africa because Russia controls about 12% of the global oil trade. And Ukraine is a breadbasket when it comes to wheat and barley. So we're going to find out more. But today we're going to zero in on the oil market and energy market. Before I do that, let me talk to, yes, Kojo Jan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Kojo Kwesi, you're also welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great. Now, interestingly, I was doing a little research about Vladimir Putin, and I realized that his name Vladimir etymologically means world ruler. So I was thinking aloud, is it because of this name? Is he living according to his name, or just by accident that he's found himself in this space and is more or less taking the whole world to ransom now?
Yes, Bishop, I think that as we all know, names play very important roles in our lives. And if you look at the history of Putin in general, he's been acting as a very important person within the Russian political scene for a while. And as you said earlier on, in terms of even his the past 10 years, he's been trying to more or less take over most of these Eastern European countries, and he's been stopped in his track a few times. But it looks like this time around he's seen that there's some form of lack of unity within the European Union, and of course when he go to America as well, he's seen that the American military force is not as potent as it used to be, and so he's thinking that there's no one at the moment willing to stop him, and so he's just taking the law into his own hands, and it's up to now up to the European Union, and of course the UK, who are not part of the European Union but they need to come back together and try to, not just say words, and try and say we'll put sanctions. I'm sure before he made his move, he's actually calculated possible sanctions or anything that will come towards him, and he's decided it's still worth it, him taking this action. And you can see that for over the years he's been playing the macho man of Russia for a long time, and this time around he's trying to actually put it into action.
All right. Now, Kusi, I was asking about his name, whether he's living up to or according to what his name means.
So, can I ask a question, Bishop?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what is the meaning of David as we find in the Bible?
Oh, that is beloved.
Beloved. Is it any wonder that God said David is a man after my own heart?
Wow.
See,
that's interesting. But let's move on. It's okay.
No problem.
But let's move on. So the sanctions have been imposed on Russia. UK has triggered it. We've seen America doing the same. But some critics are saying that they should have included a SWIFT system, because that will hit the Russians very hard. You have worked with the SWIFT system in the banking sector.
Yeah, so what I would say is that at the moment, the sanctions are targeted at individuals and certain companies. So we have two brothers, Igor Rosberg, and then also his other brother, Boris Rosberg. And as you can see, in the past, what happened was that the U.S., during the Crimea War, the U.S. imposed sanctions on these individuals, these two Rosberg brothers. At the time, the EU and the UK did not coordinate their response together with the US. But I do recall that back then, the US imposed the SWIFT response then, and it had a toll on Russian banks. And as a result, Russia started working on the back channel of also generating their own SWIFT system. So if you are conversant with the former Soviet countries like Kazakhstan, they all have a system that they use. And then I know that China is also developing its own system. So SWIFT currently would have had a very, very big devastating impact. But Russia is working within the back channels to, curb these restrictions in the future. But it is piecemeal at the moment, these sanctions that have come out from the UK. But then not to underrate what has happened. Germany has had to put a hold on the Nord 2. And to the Germans, that speaks for itself. Is a lot that they are taking in, because Germany takes about 30 to 40% of their gas supplies from Russia. The rest of Europe don't rely on Russia as much as Germany do. And for Germany to say we are putting a halt on this is something that is going to hurt Germans, but Russia is also going to suffer, because Russia, the main things they export are oil, gas, and to understand certain food items that you don't want us to discuss today, probably maybe another time. Yeah.
All right. So, Kojo Jan, with reference to the action taken by UK, the sanctions, the stock market in the UK, we're told Russian guys control a chunk of what happens on the market. would this action affect Russia? These guys have been targeted by the UK. Would it affect Russia to perhaps rescind its decision?
Well, that is the hope, and of course, as I said earlier on, in terms of there are a total of about 31 Russian companies on the London Stock Exchange, so that is a lot, and between them they have a value of almost about 500 billion, and of course, these companies pay.
Is it dollars or pounds?
In pounds. In
okay.
pounds.
500 billion pounds.
468 billion to be exact, and then of course you know, so these companies, these 31 companies, they contribute 39 billion to the Russian economy each year. So of course, if there is sanctions on all these companies, then of course Russia is going to be losing a lot of money. Russia actually spends about 41.7 billion on military you know, expense every year. So if this amount of money is taken out, that is almost total to what they spend on military expense. So that is the hope that some of these sanctions will hit Russia very hard. Of course, you also have individuals who are getting sanctioned, and of course, today we have seen that Abramovich is now being sanctioned again. Of course, Russia, the UEFA are also meeting up to decide on taking away the Champions League final from Russia. So they are Europe or the world is gradually coming together and taking apart some things that they think will be very dear to Russia, and hopefully these things work to kind of soften the heart of Vladimir Putin.
All right. Now, Kusi, let's look at the oil market. We've seen the oil price going beyond the $100 mark for the past 7-8 years or so. What would be the impact on our part of the world, especially with just coming out of COVID?
Okay, so on our part of the world, specifically Ghana, there are two things. Let's look at Ghana as an oil-producing country now, as opposed to Ghana 20 years ago. I quite remember when I was in secondary school in the year 2000, when oil prices were reaching or even surpassing the mark of $100. It devastated our economy, to say the least. And between January 2000, by end of, say, December, the dollar had quadrupled, or it had gone about, we're looking about 300% at that time in terms of the CD exchange rate. So what happens in terms of what is happening also in Ghana is that every day you do hear that the dollar is going up. As of this morning, I know it's gone way past 7 cities. So it will keep climbing if these situations in Russia keep going on. And then the next thing that we also have to bear in mind is that Ghana is an oil-producing country. So for us, it's also a boon in the sense that we will also export oil and we can get more revenue. So I can't remember about 4 or 5 years ago. But
our export, if you do the net, I mean, strike the import and the export, it doesn't come near what we consume.
Okay, another point is that Ghana is also a gold-producing country. And in times of such economic upheavals, what tends to happen is that investors flock to safe havens. So they flock to the dollar, they flock to gold. So in a way, we will win some, but we'll lose some. So let's put those things in perspective. But then, more or less, we are Ghana overall, the economy, we import a lot, and most of this is done in dollars. So as the world is gravitating towards dollars, it will cost us more to purchase dollars for other items besides oil. So in a way, the impact will be quite devastating for us. And the government budget at the moment, we might have to even revise it.
Kojojan, we might have to revise our budget. Do you think that something might happen with regard to this move taken by Russia and the rallying of Western leaders to make sure that the sanctions hit Russia hard? Is there an end in sight, perhaps maybe 2 weeks? Or you think that Russia is going to go all out, and then we're going to see the oil prices going beyond, hitting the roof?
Well, I listened to Vladimir Putin's statement today, and he was very, very clear that, you know, he is willing to go all out. And of course, our brother, you know, who spoke from Ukraine, you know, his statements are testimony to what he's trying to do. He's basically saying that the two countries or the two cities who have declared independence are being suppressed by the central government. So basically, he's going in as a protector, and he thinks that he's in the right. So it's going to be very difficult. I mean, as we speak now, we need Europe, you know, with UK and the US to come together and try to push, you know, or pin them, you know, to a corner, because if we don't get that uniform decision from all these leaders, you know, we have Boris Johnson in the UK, you know, talking about his sanctions, UK sanctions, and then you have, you know, the EU talking about their own sanctions, and then the US. But then we need a combined form of sanction, you know, where you know, there are plans to seize or freeze all the assets of Russian, you know, oligarchs around the world. There are plans to, you know, limit or even stop Russia from trading in the dollar. There are plans for Russia to also stop, you know, trading in the pound. And if it gets to this point, then basically, and then of course it might get to a point where we would need even the Asian countries to also come on board and say, okay, well, you know, we don't want Russians to trade in the yen, and we need, it needs to be, the whole world needs to come together, because you know, with the way he's going, he needs something that can really stop in his track. Else we will not see an end to it. Because I mean, as he said, and you know that for that decision to be made, he said, look, the Kremlin have come together, all the government forces have come together to make this decision, and so it's basically they are going all out. It's a long-term decision that would take the whole world to come together to stop him in his track.
Now, Kojo Kusi, inflation threats, headwinds are very strong already. We're hearing that the Fed is even contemplating hiking interest rate in the U.S. What are some of the things that are going to happen if we see the inflation pressure continuing with this thing from Russia as well? How is this going to affect economic growth across the world?
So at the moment, prior to the end of 2021, China was actually advocating that the Fed do not increase the interest rate, because they knew that when such a thing happens, people tend to buy US bonds and the dollar will become stronger. And so there will not be much in terms of the Chinese economy exporting. So things will become quite expensive. And then fast forward to, we are in February 2022, the inflationary pressure is not as a result of oil markets or even supply chain disruptions. There is actually, these two are all combining with a third force, which is the Russian invasion. So at the moment, the response from China has been quite muted. And you know, China, anything to poke the West in the eye, they'll do that. So what is happening now is that the Fed definitely will increase interest rates. And for us in Africa and for the rest of the world, UK, oil prices are priced in dollar, you know, supply chain disruptions. So in a way, America would have a strong dollar, but how does that work for Africa? Not, as we discussed earlier, not in a very good way, because currently even the government of Ghana has been downgraded by Moody's and Fitch. So far, we don't know about S&P. If they do come in, then it will be all the three bigger, rating agencies coming after Ghana and our bonds. So it becomes really difficult for us to borrow. And then for us in Ghana, then it becomes a case that we have to look inward to generate revenue. And so far, as we've had a discussion before, the government is looking at 20% cuts across board. And at a point, like I said, we might have to revise our budget estimates. And if need be, we might have to even look at other sources of taxation. And I believe that Ghana Revenue Authority are currently working on other things like e-commerce and then Burton. They tell us they have the software to look at those things. And yeah, I know how that works because I've dealt with certain clients in the past where they have all these things. So I'm not surprised Ghana is waking up to this. And so far, I think Ghanaians should be looking at a revised budget, and anything is on the table, including tax increases and then also budget cuts.
Wow. Kojo, as we wrap up, I mean, with almost time, we're going to continue this conversation, God willing, tomorrow. That one, we're going to look at the effects of this action by Russia on wheat and barley and corn, because Ukraine is regarded as the breadbasket of Europe. So it means that bread prices are likely to shoot up if these things continue. Now, Kojo, as we wrap up, in a second or two, what should government in Africa do?
Well, I think the most important thing that governments in Africa should do is to be, I mean, we have the raw materials, as we always say, and so we have to, put an end to the reliance on imports and try to, use, our own raw materials to create our own end products, and then, get that, hard-earned, dollar through exports. And that is the most important thing, because as we know, these decisions that are out of our hands, the macro decisions are always out of our hands and are always going to affect us. When there's inflation in the US, Ghana gets affected. When Vladimir Putin decides to invade Ukraine, oil prices go up, Ghana gets affected. So I think that the most important thing for us is to be able to, look internally, to look for internal generated funds and not rather try to improve on our exports.
All right. Gentlemen, it's great talking to you guys. God willing, tomorrow we're going to continue this conversation because it's a developing story. But like I said, we're going to focus on the food market, okay? That's how we bring the curtain down today on Market Avenue. My name is Edward Nyakun. God willing, come your way tomorrow. Shalom.